Scene 1, Take 3. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scene 1 podcast, the podcast where we take writing prompts from all over the internet and give them our own treatments.
And then we discuss our writing methods, why we made the choices we made, and which of our ideas is the most producible for us and the most pitchable for a studio.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Derek.
And this week's prompt comes from Reddit on the subreddit r/writing prompts and from the user Patrick K. Sayo. The writing prompt is, in this world, soulmates cannot hurt each other in any way or form, intentionally or unintentionally. You are an assassin hired to eliminate a powerful figure. As you close in for the kill, your bullets miss their mark and knives bounce off their skin. Things just got awkward.
Oh boy, the ultimate 2000s rom-com.
Yes, this is very rom-com.
Yeah.
Although I'm very interested to see where we take. We've actually talked about this one a lot. It's come up like, oh man, this would be a fun one to do.
It is, and now we're doing it.
Find a good place to do this one.
I feel like because we said rom-com right before we're about to start writing, we need to try our best not to do a rom-com.
Oh, I already know mine's not going to be a rom-com.
Okay, well then, let it be known. We're not going to do a rom-com, even though that is the number one thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're actually going to take a very short break to start writing our treatments, and then we'll come back and start discussing everything. So, we'll see you in a bit. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Scene 1 podcast. We just finished writing our treatments, and right now we're going to go over them, starting with Derek. Again, the writing prompt is, in this world, soulmates cannot hurt each other in any way or form, intentionally or unintentionally. You are an assassin hired to eliminate a powerful figure. As you close in for the kill, your bullets miss their mark and knives bounce off their skin. Things just got awkward.
My movie's logline is, when Naomi's temple is attacked, her goddess binds her to that of the assassin Caden in order to save her life and help bring back the spirit of resistance in a world covered with darkness. What's yours?
Interesting. All right, now mine is, the assassin's attempt to kill his soulmate had failed, but he wasn't sure. Okay, hold on. The assassin's attempt to kill his soulmate has failed. He wasn't sure what to do. Since then, they've moved in together, deciding not to fight the course that life clearly wanted them to take. But the assassin wouldn't give up. Even as months passed, he still tried to take her down in any way that he could. He even accidentally demolished a house or two of theirs while his lover was still inside. She knew what he was up to. After all, you only survive so many assassination attempts unless your lover's behind it all. So, it's a very Tom and Jerry-esque story.
Okay.
So, do we want to start with yours?
Sure, why not? So mine came from this, I thought it'd be cool to do something. Well, while the prompt demands it being modern because of bullets, I thought it'd be fun to scale it back in time to a time of magic. I didn't necessarily follow the prompt in that, like, they're soulmates, but I figured, like, if you have the gods intervene, then I guess they're soulmates. I kind of broke the rules of the prompt a little bit.
Okay.
Mainly because, like, what I wanted to do was do something a little bit more Lord of the Rings-y with it.
Okay.
It's basically like the whole kind of plot is like this temple's being attacked. The high priestess Naomi is like praying to her goddess, and right as she's about to be killed, there's this spell cast, and she's protected. Now the assassin, he can't hurt her anymore, and he gets demystified from the spell of this like dark realm he's been under that's conquered most of the world.
Okay.
And so now the two of them have to take this sacred light back to this like ancient ritual spot to like unleash it upon the world and defeat the darkness, the evil sorcerer that rules the land. And, throughout the journey, it's not so much a romance or a comedy. I want it to be a little more serious than that. And so it's more of like, they have like they become really good friends by the end. It's like a soulmate kind of friendship bond. That's what I wanted to explore.
Okay.
Instead of like a traditional romantic bond.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the way I kind of see it ending is like, they're able to get there, but of course there's the villain that they gotta face. And in the final moments, like, the assassin realizes like he can't, like, they're not gonna win unless someone dies, and she can't die because she has to be the one to, ignite the flame that'll save the world. So he makes a heroic sacrifice, completing his whole character arc, and thus like freeing her of the bind, allowing her to live a life on her own.
Interesting.
It's kind of a bummer, but the idea was like, it was more of like something Lord of the Ringsy. I wanted him to Boromir himself.
Damn.
Like, that's how I see it. I see it as a Boromir kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
This guy who's like, been a dick and an assassin and awful to her the whole kind of like for a good chunk of the movie, and who finally begins to grow and change just as she's like coming into her own and not like, always following orders of this goddess that's commanding her to do things. It's like there's that sort of weird dynamic where like she's bound to do this, she has to do this, but she wants to do all these other things, but she can't do them unless she saves the world. So
okay,
it's like two reluctant heroes on a reluctant quest against all odds.
Okay,
that's incredibly convoluted.
Just a little. I'm very curious. Why did you decide that they needed to die, or somebody needed to die in the end?
Because it's so. That was just like the first thing that came to my mind, actually.
Okay.
Like, I didn't like it. Like I thought maybe he could live and they could go their separate ways, and that could be a nice sentiment, But at the same time, it's like I feel like everyone's expecting that.
Yeah.
So like, not to like do things for the sake of people not expecting it, but I feel like you could get a really good, like they're like in like older Bruce Lee films, there's this idea that like when like the hero kills people and does horrendous crimes to help other people, they're still just as bad as the people committing those horrendous crimes.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's the idea that the only way for this assassin to pay for his sins is to die. That's I really like that idea and that philosophy, and like I really think that that's a good way to go out. Like it's a little bit of like the Gladiator kind of thing, where like, have you seen Gladiator?
Yes.
Yeah, where like he he's not a bad guy, but he's done bad things. He's murdered lots of people. But
I mean, that's what happens when you're in the army.
Exactly.
I'm not justifying
right?
it, but like, that's just the profession.
And then he was, a gladiator. So, but like, he dies and he still gets his happy ending, and like maybe for him, like his whole arc is like, he can't believe the things he did while he was kind of a bad guy for a while, and he begins to see that and realizes the only way to fix it is to, is to go down swinging on the right side.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
I feel like the story, this particular one, is just so like, it's so thin.
It's very hard because this particular writing prompt almost forces you in a certain direction, whereas something that we have planned for the next episode, actually, because I plan all the writing prompts, it doesn't necessarily force a certain genre on you. It forces a certain scenario and situation. And good writing prompts are ones that don't force a certain genre on you, but force a situation that can really go in any kind of direction. Which is why I brought mine into the kind of dark comedy sort of situation. I have it written down that the rest of the story is supposed to be this dark comedy. The assassin isn't really looking for love, as they're a workaholic, and therefore has no desire for a soulmate. So even though this, like, in this current lifetime, they are given a soulmate, they're just like, well, shit, I can't even do my job anymore now. Like, this is going to cost me future jobs. And thus, the repeated attempts to kill their soulmate. At some point, they try so hard to kill their soulmate that they end up basically killing themselves, and completely by accident. And in this moment, only in death are they able to kill their target with a broken heart. Because, yeah.
Jesus.
So in the end, they do complete their mission. But you're aware of, like, there's this medical condition that whenever people lose their partners, they more or less just die only because they don't have the will to live anymore. And it's that kind of situation. I want to make it so that their soulmate actually kind of grows attached to them, like, oh, you and your silly assassination attempts. They're so cute. But I thought it would be kind of really adorable and simultaneously sad if the person loses, like, the assassin, and they're just like, oh shit, I actually kind of loved you. It's basically Romeo and Juliet. Only Romeo hates Juliet.
That's not bad. That's actually like a really morbid twist. Oh. Yeah. Have you ever seen Home Sweet Hell?
No, I have not.
It has the dude from The Conjuring, I think, and it's about a. Oh.
I'm sorry, Evan. We'll talk to you later.
It's so Home Sweet Hell is a movie about a husband who is married to this woman that, like, sadistically wants to be the best family ever. She has everything planned to a T in a scrapbook.
Fucking yikes.
And then, like, he, like, has an affair, and then they, like, find her and murder her on accident, and then it becomes about covering up the murder, but then halfway through the movie it becomes about the husband's attempts to kill his wife. Because he basically can't find a way to divorce her or get out of this, because now she has dirt on him that he murdered someone. So he's, like, trying to figure out how to kill her, and the end of the film, he, like, blows her up inside their old house, like, using, like, a car and a gas. Yeah, it's like a dark comedy.
Jesus Christ.
And then, like, you know, like, the final scene is, like, him happily playing with his kids as the girl who he murdered earlier that he had the affair with, her boyfriend drives after him. So, like, you know he's gonna get it, but it's like this twisted movie that's really bad. It was
unfortunately really bad.
Yeah.
But also simultaneously similar to mine. So hopefully if this is ever made, it's not as bad as that.
It has a premise like that in a way, but, like, yours has a very Mr. and Mrs. Jones kind of feel.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, fuck. But that. But
I wasn't thinking about that when I was writing this. I was really thinking about Tom and Jerry when I was writing this.
I mean, yeah, and you can definitely see it with, like, doing, like, all the tricks and the traps and all that, and, like.
Oh, the Acme piano falling from the heavens.
Yeah, I think the hardest part about, like, yours is, like, setting up a really good through line narrative, like, because, like, you have all these great scenarios. But how do you string them together without it just feeling like
just feeling like a montage?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely the harder part about this, because I had a really tough time thinking about that. I think it'd be interesting if at the first instance, like, you see the moment where he tries to kill his soulmate, and then things get really awkward when they realize they're soulmates, and then it's title sequence, they're living together, and then after, like, the first, like, 5 or 10 minutes of being normal, you realize that he just runs off and then tries to kill her again, even though, like, months have passed. And like, the plot line is him building up to this big plan that definitely can't fail because it involves him hiring somebody else to kill her, even though that won't work because that is intentionally him trying to kill her.
Right.
So it's just this really interesting scenario. I imagine it kind of working out like an Ocean's movie. Like, where a lot of it is introducing the issue of, okay, there's this person I want to kill, time to build up this entire elaborate plan on how I want to kill them. And it doesn't work in the end, and he dies.
Do you want to know what you could do?
What?
So this is so morbid, Dad, your morbid things, but after that first, like, 15 minutes, what if she proposes to him? And the whole, like, through line of the movie is they're preparing for this wedding.
But also trying to kill each other.
While she's preparing for the wedding and planning it, and they're going to go through with it, he is planning how he's going to kill her during the steps of the wedding, and it's all going to go down the night after the wedding.
In the honeymoon suite.
Exactly. And then like during the setup, he like slips and falls out the window and dies, and that's what kills her.
Damn it! I tried so hard to kill you. I even got these roller skates.
Or something stupid like that, or like, you know, he springs one of his own traps on himself.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good analogy for how workaholics can ruin relationships by being so focused on their jobs and not actually like the relationships. So I thought, I was just like, ooh, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, so I think like if you have that through line of the planning of the wedding and the planning of the plan, the planning of the plot.
Yes, the planning of the plot.
Then you got that. You know, I'm going to say this right now before we discuss it, but I think yours is probably the most producible and pitchable.
Really?
I think this is the first time we've had an idea that is both producible and pitchable.
Wow, that was a very quick discussion on that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I'm not saying I don't agree with yours, but
right.
I do feel like that like for us, especially when it comes to your piece, we wouldn't have to.
It's the scale.
It's the scale. Yours is a lot larger scale, and mine is just goofy. I imagine like goofiness level on the same scale as Kingsman, where it's ridiculous and it knows it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and see that's the thing. Like movies like that are super in now.
Yeah.
Which is why it's the most pitchable, because everyone wants like to poke fun at other studios and to poke fun at other people and other genres, you know,
series.
Everyone's into that. Like we're in this age of nostalgia and parody, you know, like so I think that that's a really good pitch and a good production, because like if we were to make it, we could do it as a concept short easily, and we could, and if we raised enough money, we could probably do it as a full-fledged short or full-fledged feature. It would maybe not be as big to have demolishing houses, but you know, it'd have big things like a wrecking ball maybe, or
this really funny scene that I can imagine is just like, oh, can we do this really cool thing again? And the dude's just like, fine. He pulls out his gun and just starts shooting, and then she has like a sword, just goes ting 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 ting, just like blocking all the bullets because of the soulmate powers and stuff.
Or it's just like late at night, he's just like, God damn it, he like flips over and starts stabbing her, and the knife like bends. he like has a collection of knives in a drawer that he stabs her with every night, and they're like all breaking.
Well, what if it turns into like a more like supernatural like deity intervening, where every time he tries to stab her, it turns into like a rubber toy, just like in his hands. He's just like, fuck.
Or it's like a kinetic force where it's like,
yeah, or just like where it's like a magnet,
or it like zaps him,
like an electric fence.
Yeah. Damn it! Or like he's like going to touch her and it zaps him. Damn it! Like he can't even like snuggle with her because he wants to strangle her.
That'd actually be a really interesting concept. Whatever he tries to do to her is done to himself.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so, like, he tries to strangle her, and then he loses consciousness before both of them die.
I think the big thing you gotta do is, like, you gotta make sure there's this moment of she thinks he's changed. You know, like the audience and she think that he's changed. But if you play poker, you'll notice the give. And it's, like, something so minute, like, about him. Like, perhaps, like, when he's going to assassinate, you know, he does something different with his hair, or he does something different with like, how he acts or his tics. Like, he has a tic. Like, that gives away that he hasn't changed. But maybe she, like, thinks she's convinced him, and then at the end it's revealed it was all an act, part of a big plan, and he played her, and in the end got what he wanted.
But only because he died, and then
only because he died and she died, because she loved him more than that.
Yeah, you know, that would definitely be a really good moment to have. But also, I'm trying to debate whether it should be that, or whether she really does think it's funny how he keeps trying to assassinate her.
Well, I think it could be funny, and like maybe that's what could segue into it. Like, she thinks it's funny, and she finds it endearing that he cares so much about his work and her. And maybe he like realizes he can use that, so he like one day he's like, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
It's
he
completely
doesn't.
out of character. And
He
it's
just
like,
opens up the fridge. There's like killer wasps in there. Like, oh God, did you throw out the milk for this?
yeah, exactly. So I think like there's a lot of flexibility, and that's the other thing too. There's a lot of flexibility based on budget. You can shift scenes around. You know, I mean,
Yeah. As long as you have the budget for it, you can make things as ridiculous as you want in this film.
exactly. So I guess we'll just segue into most producible, pitchable.
How about we discuss other ideas quickly?
Oh, other ideas?
We,
yeah.
We already kind of went into the idea that mine's the most producible and pitchable. But here's one of the questions that I thought of. What if someone was fighting a bear and they couldn't harm the bear, and the bear couldn't harm them? That'd be really awkward.
All right. Okay. That's like a porn parody.
It is.
That is.
It is. Like, what if somebody was like doing the same thing with like an animal, and then they realized they couldn't harm the animal, and then they were just like, oh, geez, this is
It's like the ultimate anti-redneck film.
God, no.
Like, I'm gonna go kill them deer. Oh, fuck. You know, like, this is a story about a man, his gun, and his deer. Damn it, I hate this doe. And it's just like this, like, 60-year-old loner that, like, who just wants to hunt, that falls in love with a deer. And it's, or, like, he becomes to care for the deer in its elderly age. And then, you see, it's just creepy. Or, like...
I don't know if we could produce something. I don't know if we could even endorse something like that.
Or what if it's like, you know, like, I'm not even going to bring that up on camera.
Yeah, let's not. Let's drop this idea.
Okay, historical context. Romeo and Juliet. What if Romeo and Juliet, it was actually like Romeo's an assassin trying to get her to die, but in the process realizes the only way he can kill her is if he kills himself. Or no.
Basically my story.
Yeah, basically your story, but with Romeo. You could do that. You could, it'd be more of a drama, and like you'd like hate Romeo by the end.
Well, you brought up this idea while we were writing our shorts. What about the idea of like Brutus and Caesar?
Yeah, they're like secretly like, you know, like they have a romance with each other because like that was a thing back then.
Fanfic.
Yeah, the ultimate fan fiction, like Zuko and Katara, Zutara, yeah.
Oh boy.
Or Zuko and Aang, yeah.
We're not that kind of fanfic, but we're talking like that awkward moment where Brutus and Caesar realize that they're soulmates, and then every other member of like the council kills Caesar as they're realizing this.
Yeah, and it's like this like weird like
this weird like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, or like, yeah, exactly. Mark Antony and Cleopatra, you could do that. You could do Hercules and Cerberus.
No, that's going back to the idea that we didn't want to talk about.
I know. You could do a lot of things. You could do like so many things.
So many things that you shouldn't do with this prompt.
Yeah. Well, let's come up with a title for yours, unless you already have one.
I don't have a title for mine. Did you have something in mind?
Yeah, Till Death Do Us Part.
That's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with that one.
Yeah.
And, like, it speaks true to the end.
See, that was, like, I came up with the title, and then I was like, I don't know, have a good movie for that.
That's also probably going to be the name of this episode.
Till Death Do Us Part.
Yeah.
And we'll end it on that note that we would both want to produce and pitch Till Death Do Us Part by Samuel
Heinrichs.
Samuel Heinrichs.
No, I'm not Samuel L. Jackson. Nice try.
I know. I thought your middle name begins with M.
No, it's an H. Samuel H. Heinrichs.
Samuel Heinrichs. Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for this episode. This was fun. I enjoyed this prompt. It was something. It was interesting because this was something that we were looking forward to.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Clearly, if we have a little bit of time to think about it, we're a little bit more fluid. Even though we like to keep the surprise.
Yeah, definitely. I love to keep the surprise. I love surprising people.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you liked this prompt or wrote a prompt of your own for this, let me restart that. Anyways, if you wrote a treatment for this prompt, definitely let us know on this video down in the comments, or if you have a prompt that you would like us to do, let us know as well. I love looking through those.
And Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and give us a review. We love you guys.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, because we are now streaming on a regular schedule.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6 p.m/9 p.m. Pacific and Eastern Time, respectively.
Yes. All right. Well, we will see you all next episode.